right, we are starting social studies. So yesterday we were talking about the states were having problems. How many states were involved or included in the first creation of the United States of America? How many states did that involve? Tessa? Yes, 13. And we ended about talking about representation, how delegates went and represented their state, and how important that is. It is just like you have your parents looking out for you and being your person. If there is a problem, they speak for you, they help you, they guide you. And our states have that same situation where they have delegates that speak for the state to make sure everyone has a fair opportunity. Did the United States have that when they were colonists under the Britain's rule? Did they have representation? Could they speak for themselves? No. Who spoke for us at that time? Who spoke for the colonies? Grayson. King George III. Absolutely. So we were talking about on page 30, well, that's not where I want to be. Oh, on page 29, Articles of Confederation. This was the first attempt for the colonists to make what? What was this the attempt to make? To solidify, to create? I need everybody to star, track, and focus. We are almost done. I know it's been a long day, but I still need you to focus and finish strong. Yes, Owen? What was Articles of the Confederation? Why was it set up? What was its intent? Because when we got freedom, there was kind of pandemonium. There was nothing set up. They had to create everything. Cool. Yes, government, and what were they going to make? There's a particular word that I am looking for that starts with an L that is very important for a country to have. McKenna? Laws. Yes. Why do we need laws? Why can't we just run around without laws, rules, or regulations? What would happen? James? Yeah, we would self-implode. Human beings need boundaries, they need rules, they need laws. Otherwise you have anarchy, which is no laws, and everything just falls apart. So they created the Articles of Confederation. Did it work the way they wanted it to work? Owen? No. They needed to tweak things, they needed to make some things better, stronger, stricter, so it's a work in progress. All right, so Constitutional Convention. What is that? Let's turn to page 33 in your textbook. And I would like for you to turn to page 19, Branches of Government, in your manual. So 33 in your textbook and 19 in your manual. So we are going to get into what is our government. Because, friends, it was created at this time, which is amazing. Does the word legislative, executive, or judicial, does that make sense to you? Have you ever heard of those words before? Raise your hand if you have. What about the Supreme Court judges? What about the Senate? Congress, President of the United States. Who can tell me who our President of the United States is currently? McKenna? Joe Biden. President Biden. Yes. So, we are talking about this all started taking place in 1787. when our Constitution started to get drawn up and created. The form of government that we have now was formed in 1787. How many years ago was that? How do we find that out? We did that in math not that long ago. What do we need to do to find out how long ago that was? What do we need to do? Cole?
That minus the year where.
Yes. So let's do that. Subtract 2021 with 1787. How many years ago was that? Subtract, friends.
Okay.
2021 with 1787. How many years ago was that? Just a minute, we're going to give more friends a chance to do it. Raise your hand if you have the answer. Raise your hand if you have the answer. 2021 minus 1787. How many years ago was that? I want to give everybody an opportunity to get the answer. Raise your hand if you are done. Boy, how many years ago? I'm sorry, I called you because I thought your hand was up. Do you not have that? I didn't want to call on you, but I just thought your hand was up, so.
234?
Yes. Can you say that louder?
234?
234 years ago. Good job. That is a long time ago. And the government is still run the same way. We have a president, we have a judicial system, we have a legislative system, and we have an executive system. Pretty amazing. All right, so the state delegates gathered at the Constitutional Convention. This was, all the delegates are getting together and they're going to try to figure out what to do to run the country. So it says on the last paragraph, I would like somebody to read, "A republic needs citizens of virtue." Owen. Republic.
Representatives run the government.
No, I want you to read, "A republic needs citizens of virtue," on the last paragraph of page 33.
A republic needs citizens of virtue. A person of virtue is wise, good, fair, and moral. Voters usually choose people like themselves when they elect their rulers. If the people have virtue, usually the leaders they choose do too. Designing a good republic would not be easy. The delegates plan to work hard, but often they do not agree on the best plan.
Very good. So if we look up, a republic is, what is a republic? Representatives run the government. People in a republic take part in government through the representatives they elect. Remember, one of the biggest things that angered the colonists is they had no representation in England. So now as they are forming this new form of government, they are going to make sure that the republic is strong and that they have a say. The word voting is very important. What does it mean to vote? What does it mean to vote? Olivia.
It means like you write something down on a little card, you put it in a box, and usually what you write is like a president. You want to be the president.
Right. So we have a big voting every 4 years for the President of the United States. And we vote for Senate and Congress and any of the representatives for Wisconsin. There's state representatives, there's federal representatives. Federal is in Washington, D.C. Our local is in Madison, Wisconsin. That's our state capital. Each state has a state capital. That is where the representatives go to do their work. That is who we, as the public, vote for. That is a right that we have because we live in a free country. And when the Founding Fathers created our Constitution, that is what they wanted. That was foremost in their minds, that we were a free country, that the people voted for their representatives. All right, so let's go turn the page to 34. This is all important stuff, friends. Plans for a new government. James Madison was the delegate with the most plans. I thought it was Hamilton. Just kidding. If anyone has seen the musical Hamilton, that is what, I'm just joking. It's a great musical, by the way. He wanted to make the government work better for everyone. He studied law and government. He had served in both state and national government. He had much knowledge. Madison went to the Constitutional Convention with plans for a new government. His ideas formed the basis of the United States Constitution. The other delegates liked some of his ideas, but they did not agree with all of them. So I know we kind of got into this a little bit. I asked this question. Do you think they always agreed when they were starting to create this new government? Do you think there was a lot of arguments going on? Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. There were a lot of arguments. There was a lot of discussion because everyone was very passionate about what they were discussing. What does it mean to be passionate? Is passionate, whatever. I don't really care. We have a government or a constitution, blah, blah, blah. Is that passionate? No. Passionate is when you are very invested and involved in this situation, as is every single founding father. They had been through colonization. They had been through a revolutionary war. They were fought, gave their lives for this freedom, and they were going to make sure that the right thing was going to be done for this new country, which is the United States of America. So we have a lot to be thankful for these founding fathers. They sacrificed so much for each and every one of us. It's pretty amazing. All right, so James Madison was one of the founding fathers, friends, that formed the Constitution. So let's discuss the branches. So if you look on the bottom of page 34, who can tell me the first branch of government? At the bottom of page 34, there's 3 branches of government. Who can tell me, or do I just need to start saying, Gabe, what is one branch of government? Which one are you doing? The first, second, or third?
First.
The first? All right, let's sound it out. What does it sound with? Start with.
E-S?
Oh, you're doing this middle?
Yeah, middle.
Middle. Okay, it starts with an E. Executive. And what do they say in parentheses? Who is the executive branch of our government? The biggest form of government, probably, well, not the biggest, but who is the person that is under the executive branch of government? In parentheses, what does that say? President. So President Joe Biden is the executive branch of our military. He carries out the laws. Okay, so the one next to, starting with an L, what is that? Wensheen. Legislative. So say it all together. Yes, legislative. And what does it say in parentheses under legislative? Quinchine. Congress. Congress makes the laws. And then if you go over to judicial, what is that in parentheses? Who is the judicial branch? We've talked about them. We were talking about them quite a bit when we were reading Martin Luther King Jr. Owen. Decides if laws have been broken. So that's the three branches of our government. The delegates agreed with one of Madison's plans. He wanted to split the new government into three branches or parts. The plan made sure no part was too powerful. The executive branch was the president. The judicial branch was the Supreme Court. It was made up of judges. The legislative branch was Congress. It was made up of representatives from the state. Each branch had a different job to do. So, the judicial Supreme Court, we as citizens don't vote the judges in. The president and the Congress vote for them. The president nominates the Supreme Court judges, and the Congress votes yes or no for an appointee. So that is one branch of government that we, the people of the United States of America, have no part of. But do we vote in the legislative and the executive branch? Do we vote for our president? Yes. Do we vote for our Congress and senators? Yes. So the only branch that the people do not have a say in is the Supreme Court. So that otherwise we vote as people of the United States, as citizens. We get to vote for our representatives. Who is going to represent us in Washington, D.C., and who is going to represent us in Madison, Wisconsin. So that is how it was all set up. So who wants to read today's branches of government? 35, page 35, the top. Wensheen, read that paragraph.
Today, the branches of government can check or limit each other's work. The president checks Congress. This bill makes bills. The president must sign the bills before they become law. He and the Congress check the Supreme Court. The president chooses the Supreme Court judges. And Congress must approve or accept them. The Supreme Court checks the other two branches. It decides whether their laws and actions obey the Constitution.
Very good. So this is all a lot. But what the Founding Fathers did when they created the Congress and the three branches of government was check and balances. They all must check each other, so no branch has too much power. That was the purpose of the Constitution. So, fortunately, for the last 200 and how many years?
34.
Thank you. My memory is not as good as yours. It has worked. So the Article of Confederation gave each state one vote in Congress, but Madison thought that states with more people should get more representatives. States with fewer people should get fewer representatives. What is a representative again? What are representatives? Jeremiah.
Someone who talks or acts or speaks for them.
Yes. Ultimately, who we vote for. Is that how it is now? The representatives are people that we vote into power to represent us as states. The small states did not like this idea. If the large states had more votes, they could control the national government. No one would listen to the small states. The small states said that each state should have the same number of representatives, which makes sense. What does it mean? All right, before we move on, I want you to get out your manual, and I want you to work on this because we have not talked about the Great Compromise. So let's talk about the Great Compromise, and then you all can work on this for a little bit of time. So who would like to read on page 36? There are several bold words. Luke, 36, please read that page for us.
One delegate came up with a promise.
Compromise.
Compromise. A compromise is an agreement that is not exactly what either side wants, but something both sides can agree to. The Great Compromise divided
Congress.
into two groups. One group was the House of Representatives. The other group was the Senate.
The Senate.
In the House. Each state would have a certain number of representatives. This number would depend on how large or small that state was. In the Senate, each state would have 2 representatives. Both the large states and the small states accept this plan. Both got what they wanted. However, even after solving the problem, the delegates
Had other arguments. And guess what, friends? They still argue. It's just a non-ending situation. They argue, nobody agrees. So that, friends, when we talk about prayer, that is something that we should be praying for each and every day for our government in Washington, D.C., in Madison, around the country. Pray that they can come to agreement. Pray that they do the right thing for our country. That is something that we should be praying for. Praying for our president, who is the leader of this country. He has a huge burden on his shoulders. Can you imagine being the president of the United States? So that is something that we can pray for. Each and every one of us. Pray for our president. Pray for our government to come up with good ideas that protect all Americans. All right, so what I would love for you to do, so the Great Compromise is a way they compromised to make it work, which is they divided the legislative branch into the Senate and the Congress. So that is the compromise. The House of Representatives was based on the population, so if you had a larger state, you would have more representatives. The Senate, you have the same amount of representatives. So that was their compromise. So, what I want you to do now, the remaining time, we have a decent amount of time. I would like for you to work on page 19 in your manual. It says branches of government. So we have covered all of this today. So what you're going to do is you're going to work with pages 33 and 36 in your textbook. And remember, I have given you hints before. Find the bold letters. They help you. They are important words that the textbook wants you to learn and highlight, okay? Hint, hint. All right, you may start working now and get this done.
33, 34.